Welcome back, children. So, in yesterday's class, we have gone through various types of teeth which is present in your mouth and their number as well as their function. Now, one thing I should tell you, children, that this mouth is also called as buccal cavity, right? Buccal cavity means your mouth. Now, as I said that as soon as you take food or ingest food, you start chewing it. When you are chewing the food, you are grinding the food. At the same time, inside your mouth, the food gets mixed with saliva, right? This saliva is the secretion of salivary glands. There are 3 pairs of salivary glands present in your cheek, below the tongue, in the floor of the buccal cavity. So these 3 pairs of salivary glands start secreting saliva, and the saliva is mixed with the food, so that the food becomes soft and you give it a round ball-like structure with the help of your tongue. Clear? You always move your tongue, right? What the tongue does, it makes the food, it turns the food in the form of a ball. This ball is called as bolus, remember. This ball of food is called as bolus. Now, when this food is mixed with saliva, saliva contains an enzyme. Enzyme are proteinaceous substances which helps in digesting food, means it helps in breaking complex food into simple food. The carbohydrate food which you take, for example rice, this carbohydrate, due to the action of an enzyme present in saliva called as salivary amylase, converts carbohydrate into maltose, and hence the mouth becomes sweet, because maltose is a sweet sugar, right? So if you take only rice in your mouth and chew it for 5 minutes, you will find that your mouth tastes or becomes sweet. The reason is carbohydrate, on the action of saliva, rather on the action of salivary amylase present in saliva, converts carbohydrate into maltose. Carbohydrate is not a sweet sugar, but maltose is a sweet sugar. Hence your mouth becomes sweet. So in man, digestion begins in the mouth. So let us come back. Next, the food is converted into bolus. Once the food gets converted into bolus, that is in the form of a round ball, we swallow the food. As we swallow the food, from the mouth, the food enters the food pipe, that is called as esophagus, right? As the food enters the esophagus, it is a muscular tube. A wave-like movement occurs in this tube, which is called as peristaltic movement or peristalsis. What happens? This tube relaxes, means swells and contracts. As it contracts, food is pushed into the swollen part. Again, as it has entered the swollen part, this part now contracts and the subsequent part relaxes. So again food is forced to move the swollen part. In this way, a wave-like situation occurs in the esophagus. This way, so the food is passed in this way. Clear? So this is called as the peristalsis or peristaltic movement which propels food forward. From the mouth, food enters the stomach, which is a muscular bag used for storing the food that you eat. So from the mouth, the food reaches the stomach through the esophagus. This is the food pipe, or it is also called as esophagus. O is silent, right? You must pronounce it as esophagus. O is kept silent. So, by peristaltic movement of the esophagus, food is transported from the mouth to the stomach. Right, children? Now, when the food enters the stomach, in stomach, there is gastric there is a juice which is called as gastric juice. This gastric juice contains three things. First, it contains hydrochloric acid. Second, it contains pepsin, another enzyme. And mucus is secreted from the inner cells of the inner layer of the stomach, which forms a layer, so as to prevent the acid to come in contact with the inner wall of stomach. Because you know, acid is highly corrosive in action. If you keep acid in your palm, you will burn your palm. Clear? Now inside the stomach, you can understand, if acid is there, naturally it will try to corrode the inner wall of the stomach. So to prevent this action of acid, a layer of mucus is there which prevents the acid to come in contact with the inner wall of the stomach directly. Now, when food reaches the stomach, it is acted upon by the gastric juice. Now, what is the function of acid? First of all, acid inside the stomach helps in killing any germ which may have entered your stomach through food or water. Clear? Second, acid forms a medium for the enzyme pepsin to act on protein food. So in the absence of acid, pepsin, that is another enzyme, it will not be able to act on the food. Clear? So inside the stomach, protein food is broken down into simpler form, which are called as peptones and proteoses. But this detail is not required now. Just you remember this thing, that here protein food gets simplified. Right, children? So after this, the food from the stomach enters the small intestine. So this part we'll do in our next class. Thank you.